What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and I am back with another 2C Gaming review. This time we're revisiting Epic Legacy Tome of Titans Volume 1 to talk about another Titan, but I want to focus on some of the other cool stuff, less than just the Titan this time, because if you're unaware, one, what is all of this stuff? 2C Gaming has a ton of products out there. There's a whole playlist here on the channel where you can check out a variety of reviews and things I've done for their products in the past. And the Epic Legacy series is basically, if you want to take your characters, one, I guess, challenge them at higher levels in general, but more specifically, if you want to go past level 20, often referred to as epic levels, and they have a variety of resources from the Epic Legacy Campaign Codex to all sorts of things to get your characters and have different builds and things to go past level 20 all the way up to level 30. Only problem is, as you know, 5th edition 1 doesn't do a great job of balancing high level play anyway, let alone having anything that'll challenge a party that's level 20 and beyond. So that's where the Tome of Titans come in, providing basically game shaping villains that you can use for the entirety of your campaign all the way in to those epic levels. So I have a link. It is a sort of, it's not technically an affiliate link. It's like a tracking link at the top of the video description, as well as a pinned comment. And basically, if you head there and pick up Epic Legacy Tome of Titans Volume 1 from said link, it lets 2C Gaming know how many of the Nerd Immersion family has gone over there to pick this up. You can get it in PDF form. You can also get it in hardcover if that's more your style, or a combo deal to get both at a little bit of a discount, as you can see here. So $24.99 for the PDF, $49 for the hardcover, and $59 for both. Again, there's a couple of things you can preview here. You can see a variety of the different options. And we've covered some of these again in the past if you're curious about that. But like I said, one thing that you may be unaware of is it's not just these Titans in the book. While, one, they have a ton of lore and useful information in here, again, something that we don't really have a lot in base 5e, a big section just dedicated to the lore of these creatures, as well as obviously mechanics and stat blocks and things, as well as two different versions of all of the Titans. One that's kind of suitable for a up to level 20 party playing in base 5th edition, and a mythic version that's suitable for those using the Epic Legacy rules to go beyond level 20. But there are a lot of other little nuancy things you might miss, things like invocations, spells, magic items. In a previous video, we covered a new druid subclass that was contained within one of them. So I wanted to talk to you specifically, and this was kind of sort of at your request. A lot of you had said you wanted to see me talk about Asmodeus, or Asmodeus, however you pronounce it, Lord of the Nine Hells. There's a whole bunch of lore around him. But what I wanted to focus on more in this, just to showcase something, because he's an example of a Titan contained in this book that has a lot of ancillary things that are pretty cool. So as we scroll through here, we'll take a look. You can see there's obviously a ton of lore. There's the profile, which kind of is like the high-level talking points about the character. Different ways you can incorporate this Titan into your campaign. What kind of, again, regional effects, lair actions, things you would expect for any kind of high-level boss monster. But starting right here is something I wanted to show you. Just like there's a lot of these like little gems of usefulness contained throughout this book in a variety of little sidebars and side blocks. So for example, here we have new damage type Hellfire. Hellfire is a unique substance, equal parts fire, magic, and evil. And basically, it functions in a lot of ways like fire with a couple of extra little options here, right? It says it's able to burn creatures ordinarily immune to fire, which is particularly useful when dealing with other fiends. That makes sense. Additionally, a creature damaged by Hellfire cannot regain hit points through magical means for 24 hours after it takes that damage. And again, Hellfire cannot be extinguished by non-magical means. Moving through a little bit further here. All right, we have a magical item here, an artifact on the left-hand side, the Codex of Fundamental Law, an artifact that requires attunement. So, let's see. It stands as a record of the history of the Order for as long as the concept has existed. Bound and woven adamantine threads and emblazoned with the emblem of a scale cast in bronze. The Codex magic ensures that despite its modest size, its pages are seemingly infinite. So what does it give you? It gives you 2 minor beneficial properties. Again, these are from the Dungeon Master's Guide. 2 major beneficial properties and 1 major detrimental. While you hold the codex, you cannot lie. Additionally, you cannot be forcibly compelled or tricked, even by magic, into knowingly committing a crime. Full and fair accounting. As an action, you can open the codex and name a single creature you can see within 60 feet of you. When you do so, the target's entire criminal history appears within the codex, detailing its every crime, any evidence in existence relating to said crimes, and a just punishment. A creature that reads this information from the book in its entirety gains the following special benefits against that target. The target cannot succeed on a charisma ability check against you. You always know when when you hear the target lie. When you roll a d20 against the target and roll a 10 or lower, you instead roll an 11. When you reduce the target to 0 hit points, you can instead reduce it to 1 and magically lock the target in time for a duration of your choosing up to 10,000 years. While locked in this manner, the creature is unconscious and is immune to all damage and effects. The effect ends early if the codex is destroyed, and then there's a little bit here about destroying it, as an artifact will have that. It is impervious to all but the forces of chaos. It cannot take damage or be harmed in any way unless the force responsible is a creature of chaotic alignment with a challenge rating of 21 or higher. Also, we can see a epic boon here in the corner, boon of infernal nobility. You gain proficiency in deception, intimidation, and persuasion. If you are already proficient in one or more of these skills, you instead double your proficiency bonus when making ability checks using that skill. Additionally, if you are slain, your soul is sent to the hells and you are reincarnated as a pit fiend. Well, at least it could be worse, right? One of the better fiends to be reincarnated as. When you are reincarnated in this manner, you lose any semblance of who you once were, including your memories, and your statistics and features change to those of a pit fiend, though your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores remain the same. So, I guess it's not really all that's cracked up to be. All right, moving on. We can see down here a new language as well, dark speech, right? Again, it's nothing too crazy, but it says when speaking dark speech, a creature has advantage on intimidation ability checks, and evil creatures always perfectly understand words spoken to them in dark speech. Good creatures CR 10 or lower that hear dark speech become incapacitated for as long as they can hear it being spoken. And then language prerequisites, it says if you're using Epic Legacy Supplement, dark speech is instead an epic language with the following properties. Epic creature, evil alignment, charisma score of 20 or higher. Creatures speaking dark speech have advantage on charisma intimidation ability checks, and non-epic good aligned creatures that hear dark speech become incapacitated for as long as they can hear it being spoken. Sorry, that was Adam, just came down to lay on the floor here. Moving on, here we can see some art of the man himself with his ruby rod, which is kind of the quintessential Asmodeus item. All right, keep going. Well, here is the stat block, so why don't we just take a look. I'll take a look at just the base one because I want to move on because we do actually have stats for the ruby rod, and I want to make sure I get to that because that's kind of something I wanted to take a look at. So he himself in his base form, again, reminder there's a mythic form on the next page, is a challenge rating 30 creature, resistant to cold damage, immune to fire, hellfire, poison, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magic, charm, fright, and poison. I mean, his armor class isn't too high, but his hit points are over 1,000, but he's challenge rating 30, so it makes sense. All right, aura of subjugation. He exudes an overpowering aura of authority in a 120-foot radius centered around him. At the start of each of his turns, he can exert his influence over any number of creatures of his choice in the affected area, causing them to become charmed for as long as they are on the same plane as him. Any affected creature can prevent being charmed in this way by defying his authority. A creature that does so, does not become charmed, but they take 10d6 psychic damage. Magic resistance. We talked about the ruby rod. We'll see what that does on the future pages here. He can attack with that, though, which has a reach of 10 feet. Does a d12 plus 2 bludgeoning and 6d10 necrotic damage. The target is a creature, must succeed on a DC 28 strength save or be thrown 60 feet away. We have Archdevil's Might. He unleashes his true power of an Archdevil cast. He can, as an action, cast a Warlock spell of 7th level or lower with a spell save DC of 28 or plus 20 to hit. Without needing any components. He can summon a devil of CR 20 or lower in an unoccupied space within 300 feet of him. Or he makes 3 Hellfire Blast attacks, which we can see here are plus 20 to hit, range of 300 feet, and each deal 3d12 plus 11 fire damage. The Hellfire Crown here, this also recharges on a 5 to 6. He becomes crowned with Hellfire. While crowned, he can deal damage. When Asmodeus would deal damage other than Hellfire, he can choose to instead deal fire damage. Additionally, when a creature deals damage to him, they take Hellfire damage equal to half the damage dealt to Asmodeus. That's going to be rough. And then we have Infernal Decree. He issues an Infernal Decree in Dark Speech, which has its own issues as we already read. Decree of Dark Fates, each creature must succeed on a Charisma saving throw or be permanently afflicted with a curse. When cursed, if they're reduced to 0 hit points, they instead reduce to 1, has their alignment changed to Lawful Evil, and becomes unable to harm or act against him. Decree of Fealty, a Wisdom saving throw, fall prone and prostrate themselves before Asmodeus. Decree of Privilege, a Charisma saving throw, or have Asmodeus end a single spell or magical effect currently affecting it. Or Decree of Suffering, a Constitution saving throw, or take 40 fire damage. And then again, 3 legendary actions. 1 to use Infernal Decree, 1 to do a Ruby Rod or Hellfire Blast, 2 to use Archdevil's Might, and 3 to do the Hellfire Crown. Alright, moving on past the Mythic form. Here's an Infernal Contract as a magic item, which I was interested to see. So, right, each scroll comes with a corresponding pen and a scroll case. As an action, you can present this scroll to another creature you can see within 5 feet, causing the magic of the scroll to form a binding magical contract between the wielder and the target. For the next 24 hours, both you and the creature can negotiate on the terms of the contract, causing the language to magically change to adapt to what is agreed upon by both parties. While negotiating the contract, you can attempt a deception check contested by the target's insight check, allowing you to conceal certain stipulations and conditions within the contract itself. If at any point in the negotiation, the target chooses to willingly sign the contract while free from magical influence, the scroll's magic becomes expended, and the Infernal Contract simply becomes a written record of the transaction. If the target does not sign the contract at the end of the negotiation, the scroll returns to its original state, and it cannot be used again until a year has passed. If a target violates the terms of the Infernal Contract, they are permanently cursed. Any non-epic effect that would remove this curse instead suppresses it for 1 hour, so something like the Remove Curse spell. While cursed in this manner, whenever a creature would roll an 11 or higher on a d20 roll, it instead rolls a 10. Additionally, when a creature cursed in this manner is slain, its soul is sent to the Hells, where Asmodeus takes possession of it and transforms it into a devil. We have a new Eldritch Invocation here, Blessing of Hellfire. You have to be 15th level with a Fiend Otherworldly Patron. When you deal Fire, Necrotic, or Vile damage, you can choose to instead deal Hellfire damage. Again, we have another Fiend here. And then the one thing I really wanted to take a look at is the Ruby Rod of Asmodeus itself. Right? The spiked golden rod is capped with a massive ruby cut with 666 facets so as to appear nearly spherical. What does it do? Well, attuned to the Ruby Rod of Asmodeus, you have the following properties, or I guess Asmodeus technically would. Evil Within. While you hold the rod, your creature type changes to Fiend, and you gain the following: resistance to cold damage, as well as bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical attacks that aren't silver. Immunity to fire damage, poison damage, and the poison condition. Dark vision to 120 feet, and magical darkness doesn't work against you. I guess within that vision anyway. Advantage on saving throws against non-epic spells and magical effects. While you hold the rod, if you attempt to charm a creature within 120 feet of you that is immune to the charmed condition, it is instead not immune, but has advantage on the saving throw against being charmed. You take half damage from devils. And it says, to become attuned to the Ruby Rod, you must gain the political position of an Archduke of Hell. Doing so requires the ruling endorsement of at least one other Archduke, an oath of fealty from 100,000 devils, which must include at least 19 pit fiends, and military dominance of one of the 9 layers of Hell. While attuned, the Ruby Rod of Asmodeus has the following properties: Aura of Subjugation. While the rod is on your person, you exude an overpowering aura of authority in a 120-foot radius. At the start of each of your turns, you can exert this influence over any number of creatures of your choice within that 120-foot radius, causing them to become charmed for as long as they're on the same plane of existence as you. An affected creature can prevent being charmed in this manner by defying your authority, again, or they take the 10d6 psychic damage. You could summon a devil. As an action. You can hold the rod, conjure a devil of CR 30 or lower in an unoccupied space within 120 feet. It acts on its own initiative count, but immediately after yours, and remains until slain or you use this again. And then high stakes negotiation. By spending 1 hour of strenuous activity while you hold the rod, You can establish telepathic communication with an entity of your choice, including deities, for up to 1 hour. For the duration of the communication, you have a plus 20 bonus to charisma ability checks to interact with the entity when working to negotiate a contract or agreement. Once you have contacted an entity in this manner, you cannot contact that entity again with this feature until 10,000 years have passed. And lastly, Bane. The sinister power of this rod is overwhelming and threatens to overpower all but the mightiest creatures. If you touch the rod and are not 20th level or higher, your alignment permanently shifts to lawful evil, and you become irrefutably convinced that you are the rightful ruler of the 9 hells. While you are convicted in this manner, your only desire is to take your place as Hell's leader at any cost. If you are 20th level or higher, you might succeed on a DC 33 charisma saving throw or suffer these effects. However, when you commit an act of evil while holding the rod, you must repeat the saving throw. On a success, you become immune to this effect for 1 week. And yeah, I mean, that feels like it's a relic, right? That is what I feel like the Ruby Rod of Asmodeus should be. It's supremely powerful. It's kind of like, it kind of reminds me sort of like the Sword of Zariel, which we got from Baldur's Gate Descendant to Avernus, but obviously on a higher power tier. I just want to point out, folks, like, if it wasn't clear, there is a ton of work developing lore and interesting mechanics from the folks at 2C Gaming. And it's not just in this book, whether it be any of the other books we talked about. We recently talked about Dragonflight, their book that even allows you to play as a dragon. A lot of awesome stuff out there. So go ahead and take a look. Like I said, link at the top of the video description as well as a pinned comment. There are a ton of other Titans in this book. I think we've covered 2 of them on this channel already. And then again, we've covered some from the second, volume 2 of the Epic Legacy campaign, or the Epic Legacy Tome of Titans. So there are a ton of other ones in here. Again, there are some that you may recognize, like Grendel, right, from like Beowulf. You've got Orcus. We already talked about, you saw that Demogorgon was the next one in here. We've covered Cthulhu in the past. They have the Dark Dragon Queen, which is an analog for Tiamat. The Mother of Spiders, an analog for Lolth. There's a lot of great options in here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you own Epic Legacy Tome of Titans Volume 1? What is your favorite Titan? What would you like to see me possibly cover in the future? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. A huge shout out and thank you once again to 2C Gaming for sponsoring this video, and I will see you all next time.